Worst tree stand ever. Oh crap. For a couple of seasons, I had a really nice tree stand that I called the hub stand as far as that location was concerned. It was at the bottom of a nice ridge where the deer had to come out of the bedding areas and make their way up that ridge. It was a nice area that I thought was kind of a natural funnel that would move deer in a certain way. Saw deer there. The only problem with it was that the tree that was there, it was a nice hemlock tree with a little bit of cover, but the tree was leaning at a pretty dangerous angle. It wasn't a comfortable place to sit at all. I didn't really like the way the tree stand was there, and I decided to take that tree stand down and move it closer to the bedding areas along the creek where I thought maybe these deer would be moving. I managed to get up there with a ladder, take the whole thing down, strap it all to the Ranger. I strapped the ladder to the Ranger, put the tree stand in the back, strap it down, drove it down into the woods across the creek, carried it over there myself, and set it up in the area where I wanted it. And I was pretty happy with the results, really. I was able to cut with an extendable saw. I was able to go through there and cut some shooting lanes and open up some pathways. But otherwise, I left a lot of the branches in there because it's really thick. It's down in those hemlocks. But I opened up 3 nice shooting lanes and was able to get everywhere from a 15 to a 30-yard shot nice and clear.
Well, I'm about ready to call it a morning. I don't know where I went wrong, but apparently I dropped the ball with this tree stand location. I'm not happy with it. I know Bunjie isn't happy with it, I'm sure. I would have thought this would be a great location for a number of reasons. Off to my right, 60 yards from here, is where Bunjie and I killed our first buck with a crossbow, and back in 2010. And since that time, I've sat in that stand and I've seen deer over here. I know they travel through here. In front of me, I've got a nice path, a nice deer trail all through September that was showing signs of foot travel all the way from left to right here, right in front of me. There's another trail that goes right under my tree stand, one that goes to my left, and then the one that goes back up behind me here. I put this tree stand up myself, and I even cut the shooting lanes, and I thought I had picked perfect shooting lanes too. I had cut shooting lanes off to my left. I've got a nice 20-25 yard shot out that way, up to 30 yards. In front of me, I've got a nice 20-yard shot, layup shot, and off to the right, I've even got a shot out to 30 yards. Other than that, I'm really brushed in here. It's real heavy, thick, hemlocks everywhere. It gets dark a little bit earlier here than it does up in the field, and it gets light a little bit later. I have sat down here 2 evenings, an hour past dark, and this morning I came down here an hour before the sun up and sat in a stand, and I didn't see any deer. This tree stand location is so bad.
How bad is it?
It's so bad that I have not only have I not seen any deer, but I've only seen, the whole time I've been here, 1 squirrel. That's not acceptable. I mean, that's crazy. I usually see half a dozen squirrels. So there really just isn't any activity. A lot of birds, but crows. Heard a duck this morning because I'm on the edge of a swamp. This should be a good location, not only because I've got the history with this location and I've seen the deer passing through here, and I had the sign earlier a month ago. There was, it doesn't look like that trail is very heavily traveled now. There's a lot of leaves on it, but I do see footprints in the mud that are relatively fresh and stuff like that. But I had high hopes for this because in front of me is a swamp. On the other side of that is a bedding area. The deer that are going to come out of here and head up the hill to my food plots kind of have to go through this little pinch point. It's like a little funnel because of the swamp. There's not a lot of places to cross. Really what you're left with, last year there was, during the late season, I went out through there, and you can see when all the weeds are matted down, you can see that there's really only one good crossing point in this area, and it's right over there. So if they're going to come this way, they kind of have to go through here. Maybe it's changed over the summer. I don't know. I don't know if the problem is the compressor station is running down here. You can hear it real heavy down here. but that's everywhere. And it was like that last year. Last year the compressor station was running, and I sat over there and could hear it and saw deer moving through here. So I don't know, maybe the numbers are down this year. I don't know. We had a terrible winter last year. I was thinking about it. I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to go up to I'm going to leave my gear here. I'm going to go up and get the Ranger, come back down here, and I'm going to put in a mock scrape somewhere along this trail and see if I can increase the traffic here. And what the heck. I'll put up a trail camera. I'll wait a week, come back down, check the trail camera pictures over that scrape and see if we get any activity. There's one way to find out, and that is to mix things up a little bit. So we'll give it a shot. Okay, well, I'm going to try and put in a scrape right here. My tree stand's right up there up top, and I think this is a good spot. I don't like to put the scrape in front of the tree stand because as the deer's moving its head around, working the scrape, working the branch above it, he might spot me in the tree stand if I'm getting situated at the same time. So it's best to avoid probably putting it right in front of it. But where this path goes, there really isn't a lot of options out there, and there's not a lot of options over there. But so what we're going to do instead is we're going to put the scrape right here in front of the stand. It'll work. Can't hurt. What I'm going to use is the Code Blue Grave Digger, this little scrape kit. I picked these up at Walmart. They're marked down. It says $9, but I think I bought them for $4. They're probably expired. They're probably a couple years old, but that's okay. All we're going to do, what you do is you just open up the package. It just is a little thing like this. Not even going to touch the contents. I'm going to lay it on the ground, smash it open with a hoe, and then I'm going to work it into the ground, and then we're going to put a branch up. Make sure you don't get your own scent on there. Now again, all we're trying to do is give it the scent and get a cover branch above it, a hanging branch above it, and then the deer will do the rest. If a buck comes by here, gets on top of that, they'll start working that scrape. They'll start leaving their scent on the branch. They'll start peeing on the scrape, and before you know it, we're going to have more activity, hopefully. Like I said, it can't hurt, right? This hemlock's got dead branches down below, and there's nothing going either way really where I could get a live branch. So what I'm going to do, right here in the creek where I cut my shooting lanes, there's some leftover hemlock. I'm going to bust off a piece of that. Careful to wear gloves, scent-free gloves from hunting this morning. They should be nice and scent-free. And then I'm going to use a zip tie to zip tie the hemlock branch up there so they can use that as a rubbing branch. Take two, they're free. Just a zip tie, put it in place. And get them over the scrape. Only thing left is to put up the trail camera, and we should be in business. Hopefully we'll get some activity on this scrape. What do you think? Don't look too bad. If I was a buck, I'd be all over that. Well, it's 10 o'clock, and I'm ready to call it a morning. This is the 4th time I've been in this tree stand. I'm down by the creek. I was all excited too because I did that mock scrape last time, about a week ago, and I got down here bright and early, went over there and checked it, and sure enough, it was still dark, but with a flashlight I could see that it was still, had been worked a little bit. So I was all excited. Had a camera, smart enough to put a camera over it, so I grabbed the card out of the camera and I climbed up in the tree stand. And with these DSLRs, one of the cool things about the camera is I can just snap that trail camera card right into my camera, and voila, I get to look at my pictures. And sure enough, I did that, and we got a big one right over that scrape. Big old doe. She was here. I don't know what she's doing with it, but she's looking it over. And that's the only deer that was on that camera, if you can believe that. So this place is a bust. 4 sits in this location, in this stand. I've been here 4 different sits. 3 mornings, 1 evening. All of them set up perfect, all of them good wind. Did everything right every time. All 4 times I saw 0 deer and 1 squirrel. That's a record for me, getting blanked 4 times. You don't have to tell me 5 times that a place isn't working. I was a little bit disappointed, I'll be honest with you. After seeing those pictures and after sitting in that tree stand, I really had high hopes that this was going to be the spot where I was going to get a buck this season. And it looks like now, at least for the time being, I'm going to be hunting does. That's okay, I'm getting lots of activity, getting a benefit from the food plots that I put in. I'm still having a great time, it's still a lot of fun, and it's still early in the season. Plus, with all the does that I've got, I can't help but hope that some buck is going to be coming onto this property as the rut approaches. Again, we're still only in the 3rd week of the season, so we got lots of time.
The second state is number 1 in my book.